Okie dokies. So I actually started explaining on the other video. I forgot I actually did this first. So I'm gonna post this one first and then hopefully it should be fine. But yeah, so basically after the triangles and the properties and stuff, I then went over what you basically need to know about how to solve for triangles. So now the thing is, when you get something like this, you can't actually use your protractor to measure. Okay, so, and your ruler. So the whole point is they will give you something that might be very off center. So if you actually take your ruler and you measure that, it won't be 5 centimeters, things like that. So you can't actually measure it, and you can't measure the angles either. Okay, so this is where you start using your reasonings and all that kind of stuff. So what I basically did the one day is I went through all the basically how to use all the properties to solve triangles and all that kind of stuff. So basically we started with this one, which is on page 92. So it's basically solving for sides. So as you can see, I've gotten the answers there. So if you look here, oopsies, if you look there for number 1, if you have your book open for me at the same time. So it says, given triangle ABC, solve for BC. So if they're telling you that AB is 5 centimeters and they put a little line there, it means that if that's 5 centimeters, that will also be 5 centimeters. So how would you write that? It's pretty much over there. So if AB is 5 centimeters, which they gave you, then they're also showing to you that AB is also equal to BC. So they're showing you that that side is equal to that side, which is given to you with the little lines that they gave you. Therefore, if AB is equal to BC, so if it's equal to each other, that means, therefore, that BC is equal to 5 centimeters. So if AB is 5 centimeters, that means that BC will be 5 centimeters. Okay. Then we went on to number 2, which is on page 93. So it says, given triangle DEF, so for 2.1, solve for DF. So DF. So they told you that DE is 50 millimeters, but you see they got a line there, and a line there. So it means that they're actually all equal to 50 millimeters. Alright, so you kind of need to write that down. So you say, well, DE is 50 millimeters, which they told me. Then they say to me, DE is equal to DF, which is equal to EF. So DE equal to EF and DF. Okay? Which they told me with the little lines. Okay? Then you're going to say, well, if DE is equal to DF, that means, or therefore, in mathematical terms, that DF is equal to 50 millimeters. So we got that answer. Then for the second one, it says calculate the perimeter of the triangle. So if all 3 sides are exactly the same, so there's 2 ways that you can do it. So you can either add the 50 millimeters all over, so you can go 50, 50, 50, so all over the triangle. Or you can see, but because it's an equilateral triangle, they all have the same sides. There's 3 sides and they're all the same. So why don't we just we could also do this. It will give us the same answer. So 3 times the same measurement, which is 50, and then you'll get 150 millimeters. So that would be your perimeter around the whole triangle. So either way, you'll get the same answer. Ooh, sorry. Okay, so if you then, so that was the sides, and now if you go to the angles, remember this is just revision, we've actually covered this already. So if you go to the angles on page 94, so now the first one is find J, so over here, there's J. So they want you to find LJK, so they want you to find the angle of J. So then what we're going to do, I've done it for you actually. So there's the angles that they've given you. You've got K, you've got L, then you need to find J. So remember, all the angles in a triangle actually add up to 180 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to add all these angles together. So we've got angle K plus angle L plus angle J. Okay, So that's how we write them, equals 180. Why do they equal 180? Because of the property of sum angles in triangle. So sum, remember, means adding, because if you add all the angles in the triangle, they have to give you 180 degrees, and that's only in a triangle, so that's why adding all the angles in a triangle. Okay, so then we put in what the angles are. So K is 65, L is 48, we don't know what J is, and it must give me 180. So 113 plus something must give me 180. So what you can do is you can go 180 minus 113, and that will give you 67. Or you can say 113 plus 67 will give me 180. So J is equal to, or the angle of J is equal to 67 degrees. Okay, then for number 2. So number 2, given the triangle TRS, solve for the missing sides and angles. So now we need to find the sides and the angles. So there's a side there, side there, side there. But now we've got 2 angles. So we've got only one side and 2 angles. So which one, what do we actually need to find first? The angles or the sides? I hope you said angles. Okay, because we've got 2 angles. We might as well just find the third one, and then we're done. So we've got 60, 60, and then that one will actually also be 60 if you know your properties of an equilateral. Okay, if not, what you do, your actual process would be following what we did like in number 1. So we're going to add all the angles together. So we're going to add angle R, S, and T together, and that must give me 180. Okay, well these ticks are actually what I showed the kids in class, where you will get the marks from usually. So you'll get a mark for your reason, you'll get a mark for the 180, for substituting in the angles, for your answer, that kind of stuff. Okay, so angle T is actually 60 degrees. That then means, so then you have to say now, therefore triangle TRS is an equilateral. So you have to then say, because it's 60 degrees, they all are 60 degrees, it means that the triangle is now an equilateral triangle. Okay, so that means all the sides and all the angles are equal. So that then means that because it's an equilateral triangle, it means that RS is going to be equal to ST and TR. So that means they will all be 74 millimeters. Okay, so that's an easy 7-mark question. So yeah, it's pretty much like a process. You need to find out the angles, and then if you see that the angles are 60 or 60 degrees, then what type of triangle is it? Oh, it's an equilateral. Then you write that down. So you've proved that it's now an equilateral triangle, and then from there, because it's an equilateral triangle with all the angles, that then means that all the sides will be the same, which is all going to be 74 millimeters. I hope you understand that. Okay, and then the last one, number 3. Let me just go here quickly. Number 3. Okay. Sorry, I made a few mistakes on the page. Alright, so number 3 is on page 95. Let me just drink some of my tea before it gets cold. Okay, so they've given a triangle. Sorry, I've written on it already. But that's actually what I want you to also start doing when you get to your answers in your paper. Use your paper and write on your paper what you found out. So if you find out that that's 30, write in 30. Write in that that's 75 and 98. Okay, it just helps you for later on. Basically, they want you to find the sides and the angles. So with this one, you've actually got 2 sides. So now it's the opposite. So the other one they gave you the angles, so you could actually mark that you could find the angles first. This one you've got 2 sides, and technically you've got a third already because they put that line there. See, we've got a line there and a line there. So technically you've actually found all the sides. So how do you write that? So we've got xy is equal to yz. So xy is equal to yz. Reason given, they told me. So that then means that yz, if yz is equal, what did I write here? Yeah. So if yz is 98, that then means that xy will be 98. Okay, so then therefore that means that xy is 98 millimeters. So then that means, so now because you found that these two sides are the same length, right? That then means that it's become an isosceles triangle. So you need to remember that. So isosceles triangles, because those two sides are the same, what's going to happen now? The two bottom angles are going to be the same. Okay, you need to remember that. That is a rule. So therefore, the triangle is now going to be an isosceles triangle. That then means that the bottom, so it means that this angle here, x, is 75, which then means that z is going to be 75. Why? Because it is an isosceles. But we can't say that. That's the name of the triangle, but that's not the reason why they're the same. The reason is because the bottom angles, the base angles, they are the base or the bottom angles in an isosceles triangle. Okay. So what I did is I went through this with the kids on Thursday? No, Wednesday or something. One of those days. I went over it. Okay, and basically I went over all of these reasons and things, and then I said, I'll just tell you now, for them to write the rules at the back of the book. You actually have it in your book, which some of you completely lost. And you didn't know where to find it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you to go to the back of your book, and you're going to write those rules in the back of your book. Okay, so these things like this, so base angles in isosceles triangle, that kind of stuff. Okay, so don't do it yet, but keep in mind that's what I'm going to be asking you to do. Alright, so we've got my thing moving sideways. It looks like an earthquake happened here. Okay. Alright, so because we've got the angles, so then we put in the angle over here. Alright. But now we just need to find one more angle, which is that one, which is when all the angles in a triangle add up to 180. And that's some angles in triangle, which we've done previously. And then you're going to get angle Y is equal to 30 degrees. Okay. So go to the back of your book, right to the back of the book, turn to a clean page, and I want you to write, oh yeah, it was the 10th of June. Oops. Okay. So then you're going to write this down for me. Important reasons for geometry. Okay, so when you're doing geometry, please don't use no ruler like I did. Please use your ruler. Remember, this can be done in pen, but when you're going downwards, remember that's in pencil, because you don't know how much space you're going to need to use to write it. So yeah. So you're going to write that down for me. So here's your triangle, so what it will look like. So they'll give you two angles, and then you need to find the third one. So that's when you add all the angles up to get 180. Statement is kind of like this part here. This part here is your statement. And then this would be your reason. Okay, so your reason would be, why are we doing that? Why are we putting them all together? Because we need to add all the angles in the triangle. So if you didn't know what it meant, I put it in pencil for you, adding all the angles in a triangle to get 180 degrees. Then for the next one, there's only 3 I did. Okay, so we've got where they give you, so they give you the lines. Alright, so that then means that you have to write down what is given to you. So you have to write down what is given. So the lines, the red part, on the line AB and AC. Okay, so those are the things that they gave you. So then you're going to write AB equals AC, given. And then you're going to say, oh, but if it's equal, then it means that it is an isosceles triangle. And then, because of that, you've got angle B is equal to angle C, because it's an isosceles, right? So because they are an isosceles triangle, you're going to put them equal to each other. That's if they give you the lines, eh? It's only if they give you the lines. Then you need to find out what the angles are. So you're going to go 180, which is the sum of the angles in a triangle, and minus 72, which is the one on top, and then divide it by 2 because you need to find they're both the same size, eh? So it's 54, 72. That should all give you 180, and that is your reason. Okay, you should pause if you don't have that, so that you're going to keep writing. And then we will move on. Okay. So then this is if they give you the 75 degrees there, and you need to find that 75 degrees. Okay. So they would be called base angles of isosceles triangle. Right. So the two bottom angles of the isosceles triangle will be the same. Okay. Cool. Pretty much sorted. Then I actually made a mistake here. So maybe just when you write this in your book, right? This is pretty much what I did with the class the next day as well. But remember, the radius is this line here and that line there. So whatever's between the radius, please, it's not a segment, it's actually a sector. So that's actually the answer, sector. So that's actually wrong. So write this as sector, and then that would be called a segment. Okay, the rest is correct there. So you can maybe copy that down if you want to. That is called a sector. That is called a segment. Okay, the rest is correct there. So remember, just something to quickly tell you. That's a chord. Okay, a chord can also go very close to the center of the circle but not touch it. That is called a chord. As soon as something goes through, as soon as the line goes through the center, all the way through, then it is called the diameter. Okay, otherwise it is pretty much, that's pretty much it for today. Ta-da, nothing else. Okay, so yeah, so that's pretty much what we did. We went over that. The rules are pretty much the same when it comes to quadrilaterals, but we're not really going to test you on that as much. The triangles are more we'll test you on. And the similarity and congruency is what I've done in the next video, so I've actually just gone over that for you. I actually did that one first by mistake. So yeah, that's kind of what you might get, things like that. Very tricky. So yeah, you should actually have done it in your book by now. But anyways, that is that, and I will keep you guys up to date as soon as possible. Sorry this one took very long. It might actually be happening quite a lot, but I'll give you all the other stuff during the week. Otherwise, not a lot of work. It's mainly just like notes and things that we did and revising term 1 stuff for this week.